Hello, hola, bonjour, namaste. Welcome to another scintillating episode of CU Online Diaries. At this forum, we talk about latest trends, insights, developments, and innovations in the field of online education around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have with us someone who doesn't need an introduction, an educationist, author, filmmaker, writer, entrepreneur, business person, and at the top of everything, a fine man. Ronnie Screwvala. Welcome, Ronnie, at CU Online Diaries.
Thank you very, very much from here. It's been an ecstatic, we've had some early conversations and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, thanks so much. The list is long, ladies and gentlemen, but I can name a few movies that he produced, his company, which are my all-time favorites. Let us, for example, Fiza, Lecture, Swadesh, The Blue Umbrella, my most favorite, Run De Basanti, The Namesake, and the list, it goes on, including Delhi 6, PP Live, Kedarnath, and the latest one, The Tejas. He authored several books. Two are my favorite. Skill It, Kill It. I was talking to you about that, Ronnie, around 2 hours back. I mean, I love that. We are going to talk about that. And another book is Dream with Your Eyes Open. Ladies and gentlemen, because dreams with closed eyes are forever. If you want,
Well put.
yeah, if you want your dreams to get real, you need to envision those with your eyes wide open. This is what Ronnie explained in that book, and that is another fantastic, the bestseller book. Now, to just roll on to the conversation a little bit more, I have created some kind of questions, but we won't exactly go by those questions. So wherever you feel, you can just, share your experiences.
Happy to.
You come from a wide experience, the canvas of your whole educational and professional life is very wide, colorful, and, very diverse. So we are going to learn so many things, ladies and gentlemen, today. As I said, why I was reading your book, Skill It, Kill It. So I saw several anecdotes you mentioned that so many authors miss. Like, let us say, for example, the real-time tasks. And you spoke a lot about acquiring skills. So my query to you is, what are those skills that provide, that proves to be the magical talents? That is the term that you have used in your book. And for a successful career for the youth.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me here. And all I would say is my focus on that book was to say that we all take hard skills as the base of what we do, and it's very important. But I think there's a other half. And normally when we're so focused on the first half, we let go of the other half. But actually, we know that it's the smaller things that complete us. It's the softer things that actually add the light value. And therefore, to me, the soft skills, what I call actually special skills, really completes everything that you spend so much time and effort either learning in knowledge, learning in whatever else. So what good is understanding an entire lesson if you're not being able to articulate it? And today, I think in the 21st century, your ability to be social, your ability to necessarily interact, your ability to communicate. And I know most people think communication is, what I need to do is we should have a self-confidence, sit in front of the camera. Not so. You can choose whatever way. I think most people get inhibited because you feel, no, I need to be an expressive person.
Right.
Communication is about connecting. It's not about how you say it and the spoken language and the diction. Some people have it, some people don't. But the people who don't does not make them bad communicators. And I think that is one. Second, most people today want to be inspired. Right. And I think leaders are formed not by designations, but by inspiration. And I think that was my other core element of the book, to make people understand that you're working too hard to think you want to be a leader and you're going to tell me the 9 don'ts and the 9 do's that I need to do. But do you inspire people? And how do you go about inspiring people? It's a little bit like people say, I'm here, I come to a university, I come to do something because I want to network. Personally, I think network is overrated. Networking is overrated.
Right.
Because if you can do something, I am a recluse. I know my media days and now my education days doesn't make it feel that I'm actually a recluse, but I'm actually someone who's much more behind the scenes when I wish to be. But I think I've done that where my work has spoken more than when I've spoken.
Right.
And I think that's what, for everybody, should be the motto. So I think these were some of the key takeaways as why I wrote the book. Because when I started Upgrad, one of the things I found was soft skills, especially in a country like India, is something that is lacking.
I mean, that's fantastic. See, the thing is, when I was reading the the later half of the book, all that came true. I mean, I am just reminding in my brain right now whatever you said. So, ladies and gentlemen, soft skills are not exactly what are written as such in some encyclopedias. Soft skills are now connecting with the people, connecting with the masses and connecting with your learners.
Yes.
For education.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just going to the class and just throwing a few words. I mean, you need to make a connection, that emotional and the brain connection with your learners. Thank you so much, Dan. That was insightful.
And just for me to sort of add there, because I think, the other part of the connect is your old self conviction, because 90% of the time we don't try something because we're worried about failure. And 90% of the time we don't speak up at a conference, at a meeting, in a classroom, because we feel people will perceive us as, what a silly question. And I think 90% of our time we waste trying to live other people's lives.
Right.
And I think soft skills is also about stop living what other people think of you and get your own self-conviction. Because if you don't have that, you got nothing to fall back on.
Definitely. I completely agree with you as a cognitive neuroscientist. I mean, I feel like, you need to take that first step, somewhere down the line. So when you take that first step, then you will be able to achieve what Ronnie just said. I mean, so you will start living your own self. Huh? Okay, so that's nice. So beginning from cable TV to the big movie empire like UTV and then to education, So that's have been a long and very, very interesting journey for you. And so how did...
With a lot of failures. When
you are successful and when you're at the top, people usually don't talk about the failures. But definitely, if you are...
No, if you don't talk about the failures, then you're not a complete person.
And even you don't learn, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
That's nice. I mean,
and the grass is never green on the other side. It's never green on the other side. I've got two things on the grass that I like talking about. One is that it's never green on the other side. And that when most people are worried about what else is doing, I said, I'm too busy making my grass green. Why do I have to worry about whether your grass is green? And I think so those perspectives kind of ground you in a very different way.
Definitely. I can see that. I mean, this might be my second meeting with you. First was very, very passive meeting when I saw you from a of distance, somewhere else. And now this is first time when we are meeting face to face. And I'm very, very happy. And feel very nice about talking to you one to one. You are not just one institution, Ronnie, honestly speaking. You have been a group of institutions, the kind of things that you have done in different areas of your life. That makes you something what you're saying right now. So my next question to you would be how did that happen, coming from different areas and ultimately to the education right now, and why online education?
So serendipity, I think, plays a big role in everybody's life. And I know it's a big word, serendipity, because people think serendipity is like que sera, sera, or whatever will be. But actually, you have to work hard for serendipity. You have to be in multiple places at multiple times so that occasionally you're in the right place at the right time.
Right.
And I think that's very important, and you need to work for it.
Right.
I think the second one is you need to have some common themes. I think my first journey in media was accidental. I didn't have huge education qualifications. I came from a lower middle class family, and therefore soft skills saw me through a few things. And I started media because I used to do it as a hobby, and then it turned into a profession. The good part about it is that for the next 15 years, nobody ever asked me, or I never thought about work-life balance, which is the question everyone keeps asking themselves. Because when you really love what you're doing, and if you've taken a passion and you've converted that into your business, I think it makes a big difference. But when I sort of finished that first innings, as I would say, and then moved into education, and I think a lot of people spoke to me and said, okay, so what's your second act going to be? And I said, wait a minute, there's a very big difference between doing a second act and a second innings. And the reason I differentiate the two, which is I think important, is the second act is when you do what you've done, but you do it again. But a second innings is what you've done, and now you're doing something very, very different. And I think when you do a second act, your learning is actually much lower. So to me, I wanted to start completely afresh and do something. I think because of our not-for-profit, the inspiration And there's a lot of common themes between actually education and media, because at the end of the day, it's storytelling. At the end of the day, it's engaging consumers. At the end of the day, you're opening up people's minds. And I think there's a lot of commonality in that. And that was my inspiration.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. And I mean, at the end of the day, it is kind of, connecting with the masses and fulfilling the needs of the masses. I mean, because India is a huge country, as we know, and we have so many people, especially in the youth category, those who are still far away from the higher education.
Yeah.
The other day, I was doing some kind of analysis, for one of my studies. So then I saw, I mean, for more than 90% of the masses, only a few percentage of those, they are able to reach the higher education. So that's here, gentlemen, I feel the need of the art right now for India.
Yeah.
And of course,
and you got to make it accessible and you got to make it affordable.
Ladies and gentlemen, CEO Online is at the forefront of implementing latest pedagogical innovations into teaching. We dive deep into diverse learning modalities that help our learners to take a shift from the static text-based content to the dynamic interactive learning experience, such as multimedia elements, simulations, virtual reality, and gamification. So, Ronnie, how do you see this? I mean, the new version of education, which is online education, though you have already spoken a bit about that. But if you can, speak about the online education from that perspective, to make it more interactive and to make it more engaging and to make it more connected to the people, to the masses.
So I think, firstly, in life, everyone thinks there's always an either or, and the new means there's an old, and the old is out and the new is in. Then the old is never out and the new is never all in.
Right.
So I think it's always about a journey and a progression. Number one, I would like to say. I think the second one, the beauty about online in my learning in the last 7 years with Upgrad has really been the peer-to-peer learning experience. I've found that outside of faculty, industry profession, everyone is a teacher.
Right.
All of us in any room has something to share in terms of knowledge or expertise.
Right.
But for us, it's always been a guest appearance and who's going to call me. But online actually allows that to be anything. A little bit like what social media has done for a lot of people, the same for that. So I think that's the other second part of that. The third one today, I think, is peer-to-peer learning. More and more learners are interested in what their colleagues think necessarily than what somebody who definitely has knowledge, but in a different sense. So you want to hear the textbook knowledge, you want to hear the practical knowledge, you want to hear the knowledge as per the curriculum,
right?
But you also want to know in practical life, identify with me. So today's generation, I think, is looking for things that they can identify and be very real and be very pragmatic and very practical. And I think the peer-to-peer learning is what online is, to me, is the future, without necessarily saying the old is the old and the new is the new.
I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, so what I think, I mean, I was in the US for several years. So there I saw, that peer-to-peer learning actually, happening on the ground. And, the another term that is called collaborative.
Yeah.
That also comes, from that peer-to-peer learning. Basically, once you know what your peers are doing, how they are doing the things, then you collaborate. And the moment collaboration happens, the learning, goes to the next level. Yeah, definitely. I mean, so at CEO Online, we focus on providing a kind of global collaborative, networking opportunities, to our learners. Since we were talking about the collaboration, so I now have one question maybe from this side. So we try these all collaboration and networking opportunities for our learners with the utmost conviction and confidence in development. So, Ronnie, how do you envision the role of collaboration and networking in online education, particularly from the learner's perspective? Very briefly.
Yeah. I mean, networking is a little bit of a broader word because it has, but I go back again to my concept of the peer-to-peer learning,
right?
Because actually I'm more interested in what colleagues think than something being told to me in a particular manner. And that's happened across all sectors today. If you want to see a reference to context of where you want to travel, where you want to take your next holiday, you're not interested in what the hotel tells you. You're interested in what the 20 travelers before you went and did that. So if you look at almost anything in any consumption pattern, and therefore when you're consuming knowledge, when you're consuming learning, the same applies from that point of view. I think that's the power. So I think networking is happening real time. Most people think that means I need to be in touch with people. And actually, what happens here is you don't need different characters, because when it's anonymous, it's much more of a smooth networking than if it is where I need to be in a place and need to make an impression.
Right. I mean, that's nice. So when you were talking about that kind of, reviews, online reviews and all, you said that, people are interested more in knowing about what my friends and what my colleagues are doing. So, now we at C Online provide, personalized and adaptive learning experiences to our learners. So what are those adaptive learning experiences? Because by using the adaptive technologies, we get to know, what are their preferences, what they want to know, what they want to learn, and where they are making connections with the other people. So we also use engaging in experiential learning opportunities that are collaborative in nature during engagement, such as interactive live classes, mentoring sessions, master classes, and from the top academic and industry experts. And we also have discussion forums, socializing activities. So this is one of the socializing activities where we are talking right now, and online communities such as Alma Connect. So now going ahead from here, online education is trending right now in India as well as around the world due to several reasons: flexibility and adaptability and availability and affordability. So Ronnie, where do you see this all going? What does the future of online education look like to you?
I think it solves problems at scale. It allows people who have missed out on certain segment of learning to go back to it at any given time. So it gives you optionality. And the second one is, just when we think we're done with learning, we're undone, because the world is changing. So I think the question of lifelong learning, which I know is a cliche for most people,
Right.
but I think between that lifelong learning element and being able to go back on, and that optionality is really, and it's at scale. There is no divide. It can happen in rural India, it can happen in urban India, it can happen in the US, it can happen in India, all element.
Wow, that's fantastic. So it was nice talking to you, Ronnie. The experiences you have shared with our learners will definitely help them see through the opportunities in their own lives and come out with flying colors. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this was the Ronnie Screwvala with us exclusively for you at CU Online Diaries. See you next time. Until then, stay safe, drive safe, eat well, sleep well, learn well, think well, and be nice to others. Have a fantastic time ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you for having me here.